everybody. I'm Shubha Chittaranjan. I'm a sports and exercise psychologist at the Sports School, Bangalore. So today I'll be talking about the importance of mental strengthening for competitive athletes. As you all know that when we talk about sports, what is the first thing which comes to your mind? Yeah, it is the physical strength. Have you ever thought how an athlete feels just before their matches or their performance? So let us now understand why it is important for us to help the athletes in a mental aspect of the game. So first, let us understand a little bit about the sports school. Have you heard about the sports school, guys? So sports school, I would say, is the one-stop solution for all your sports need. Sports school is located at Bangalore, providing the 5-star, like the international level standard facility for the athletes, not only with the international level coaches or the coaching facility, but it also has the best ever people who are associated to sports. So it has the best coaches who were players themselves, and they all are coaching the young athletes to reach their destination. So today's topic is mental fitness. So I would like to introduce myself again, not like a psychologist, but as an international swimmer. Yes. So I was an international swimmer myself, and I was into professional swimming for more than 15 years. I was India #1 for more than 8 years, and I think I had the best Indian performance, that is the national record, which stood for more than 12 years. So I was the first Indian woman to break the 30 seconds barrier in 50-meter butterfly. And now I work as a mind coach with most of the successful athletes. So, yes, I have Mr. Sandeep telling me that, yes, fitness is one of the main area. But we need to understand when we talk about sports, it's very unfortunate that when we talk about sports, the only priority is given only to the physical fitness. So have you ever thought about why mental fitness is important? In India, mental fitness is the most outlooked area because everybody is focused on getting an athlete's physical fitness levels high. That is the gym, the strength and conditioning, the nutrition, everything is checked. But the only area which the athlete is not getting the support is the mental fitness. Because sports, as you all know, is 90% mental and 10% physical. It's not, trust me guys, it is not easy to be a sportsman, because sports is not just about going there and performing. It is about showing the best techniques and skills under high level of stress, pressure, and trying to handle your physical, whatever you have learned, that is, it is executing the best performance in that particular time. So I do have a lot of people approaching a psychologist, or approaching me rather. They think that a sports psychologist needs to be approached only when there is a problem or a concern. See, there's a notion that a sports psychologist we need to consider a sports psychologist only when an athlete is failing or underperforming. See, today I want to say is mental skills training is required for all the competitive athlete, because all the athlete experience their mind intensively during their performances. So today I will be sharing a few of my own swimming life where I was a top India #1. During that time, I will share why I took up sports psychology as a profession. So in 2007, I had a major shoulder surgery. So at that time, in 2007, I was in my peak. I was India #1. And suddenly, when the doctor came and told me that, Shubha, you have a rotatory cuff injury, we need to operate you. And it was like the sky fell down on my head, because injuries are a part and parcel of an athlete's life. So I was obviously, and that actually created a lot of anxiety in me, and I started worrying about what would happen to me. Would my career be successful? Will I be able to swim after my surgery? So a lot of thoughts started coming in, and I would say most of my thoughts were negative. So that's when I started, I had my shoulder surgery in 2007. And I would say, after 3 months, I was resting for 3 months, and then I realized one thing, that I had trained for 10 years. 10 years of training versus 3 months of rest. I started thinking, does this 3 months of not swimming affect my swimming, the performance? And that's when I got into the national team. I started my training after 3 months of complete rest for my shoulder. I slowly started getting back to swimming, where I could not use my shoulder, obviously. So I started with the kicking. That is when you know about swimming, that's an aspect in swimming. So I started strengthening my legs. So after that, I was selected for the senior national. Trust me, when I went to the senior national, everybody who I met did not expect anything from me. They all said, "Oh, Shubha, I hope your shoulder is okay." There was no pressure, absolutely no pressure from myself, from my own parents. My parents said that, yes, you have got selected for the national. It's a very good achievement. So it's okay if you don't perform, because everybody lost hope in me, because they thought that I was not fully ready for the national level competition. So that's when, you won't believe, in that national, I got 3 gold medals. See, that's how pressure hits you, guys. Have you ever thought how Sachin Tendulkar would feel at a 99? At a 99, I just try to picture this situation. If you were Sachin Tendulkar at in this situation, how would you feel? 99 runs, 1 run for a century, 6 runs for India to win, and the whole stadium is shouting, "Sachin, Sachin, Sachin." Correct? See, this is how an athlete feels before a performance. See, there are a lot of factors. See, imagine what would happen if Sachin thinks negative at that time. See here, do you think his physical aspect would contribute to the victory? Absolutely not. What happens? Just think, what happens if Sachin would have felt underconfident in his situation? What would have happened if he had thought about saying that, "Oh my God, this next ball I can't focus, I think I'm going to get out"? See, the thoughts are very influential. The body achieves what the mind believes. So it is very important that we start focusing on the mental fitness of an athlete. So I would like to say, in sports school, we not only focus on the physical aspect or the best training facility, we also ensure that our athletes are mentally fit. Correct? So when we talk about Serena Williams, when we talk about Serena Williams, who just delivered a baby and who is back to Wimbledon and who is got back to tennis like as if nothing has happened. See, it is not the body which is performing during the performance, it is the control of the mind. So mental skills training enhances the confidence of an athlete, which is a very big component which enhances the whole and soul of the whole performance. So mental skills training. So let us understand what we do in mental skills training. In mental skills training, we help an athlete to understand themselves better. See, a sportsman, when we talk about a sportsman, it's very unfortunate that if we picture a sportsman in front of us or an athlete in front of us, we only focus on the physical fitness and judge that this athlete he or she is basically physically fit. But is there any assessment going on to the mental fitness? Because when people approach me for consultations, I have two classic concerns which the athletes or the parents get their kids or athletes come to me. One, I always perform better during my training, but I underperform during my competitions or tournaments. See, this is one classic thing which happens to most of the athletes. See, competitive sports, like I said, is not just going there and performing. This happens when the confidence level is really low. See, I would say, being an international level swimmer myself, I would say the person who is mentally fit and who has a very good self-control and self-belief. The self-belief is somebody who says that I know what I am. That person is going to win his or her match or race or game or whatever you call it. See, self-esteem and self-concept is very important. So I do have the situation where an athlete or parents approach me or a sports psychologist is when they think that the player is not able to perform to the ultimate because of their own negative thoughts. See, guys, we need to understand here is that the human mind gets 40,000 thoughts a day, 40 to 50,000 thoughts. Imagine if on the day of the tournament, most of the thoughts are negative, what happens to the athlete? What happens to the performance? See, it is very important for us to focus on the mental fitness of an athlete simultaneously with the physical strengthening as well. So mental skills training is basically, it enhances the performance because the athlete will be able to control his or her mind effectively before their performances. So when I talk to the athletes, a lot of athletes experience a lot of negative self-talk. That is one area where we pitch in and help the athletes to overcome this obstacle. So I will give you a situation here. Okay, if there are two players, let us consider there are two players. Okay, so this is a weightlifting competition and there are two competitors, that is competitor A and competitor B. Okay, so what happened is competitor B went to his sporting the venue of a tournament, and there he saw his scheduled opponent, which is competitor number A, that is walking in front of him. So that's when competitor B started picturizing, saying that, oh my God, this competitor, this competitor A looks really big. He looks really confident. He looks very powerful. This is the picture the competitor B started having when he just saw his opponent. So this is the pictures, okay? Then let's understand what once the opponent the competitor has a picture of an opponent, the competitor B started thinking about his own ability. He started doubting about his own ability. He started thinking, what will my parents and coaches say if I'm going to lose? This guy looks really, really fit and he looks so bigger than me. See, what happened here is, just by looking at the competitor, the player B has already lost the game mentally. Okay, and then when he went to his warm-up, he started underperforming and he started feeling his body really tight because all his thoughts started became negative. He started self-questioning himself and he started thinking, what if I don't perform well today? And competitor A was more focused, he was relaxed, he was just focusing on his own ability, he started focusing on his own strengths, and he looked very calm. So just try to judge who really won the match? Who really won the match? I'm sure it's competitor player A. Because, see here, the player B, without even competing or performing, he is lost the match to player A mentally. Most of the competitive athletes experience this. I have also experienced this. So mental skills training enhances the performance where we train a particular athlete to control him or herself first, and second, we help them understand their own thoughts, and then we also enhance their positive self-talk. So mental skills training has to be a fixed program, because when people come for consultation, they think that mental skills training or getting a sports counseling is a very quick fix solution. They think we are magicians. So just before the tournaments, you won't believe, I will have more than 100 calls. People approach me, people ping me, people mail me saying that, can I get one session of mental skills training for my daughter or son? See, first we need to understand mental skills training or competitive or sports psychology is not a quick fix solution. So it has to go simultaneously with the physical strengthening, because first we help the athlete. See, performance comes later. First, at the beginning, we help the athlete to understand his or her strengths. See, it is very important for an athlete to understand and believe in himself or herself. So competitive sports is not easy. It's not easy at all. It's very difficult, because the life of an athlete, let us just understand how a competitive athlete's life looks like. One, I would share my own swimming days life, where how my schedule basically looked like. That is getting up at 4 a.m., leaving to the swimming pool, okay, traveling for more than 40 minutes, because the swimming pool and my house was around 13 to 15 kilometers away. So 4:10 a.m. I was leaving to the pool. 5 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. is the physical fitness, that is the running, the jogging, and all the other aspect. Then 6:30 we used to get into the water and train and swim for more than 7 to 8 kilometers in one session, and then our training used to end at 8:30, 8:45, and directly from the pool we had to rush to the school. No going back home. So we had to go to the school there, and from 8:30, I had taken around, I think, half an hour or 1 hour permission from the school, so that I could reach the school at 9:30, and 9:30 to 3:30 was my school timing. Now, and 3:30, after the school is done, I had to rush back to the pool. No going home again. Your parents or my parents used to wait for me outside the school with all that swimming gear and my kit and all that, and then 4:30 again go back to the pool. 4:30 to 6 o'clock is the gym. 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock is the swimming training, and then 9 o'clock complete your swimming and get back home, and again sit and do all your schoolwork, complete the assignment, notes and all that, and then it is the dinner time and sleep time, and this is how it looks. See, sports life is not easy. Sportsman's life is not easy. So now, why mental aspect needs to be focused more? Because there is a lot of pressure for the athletes to even focus on their academics. See, academics is no doubt important. So the athlete needs to handle their stress and balance their stress in a more effective way. So I would consider sports school as the best answer for this problem, because you won't believe that I have an athlete who travels from Whitefield to Banshankari every day for their training. So imagine the traffic obviously Bangalore traffic is really bad, and imagine the stress, how much of traveling time is going for a waste. So it is very important. See, a competitor or an athlete needs a good support system, a good balance between the academics or the school and the sporting academy. One, a good coach, good support from the family, good external support from all the other areas, that is the mind coach or the nutritionist or the strength and conditioning trainer. See, we should not forget that sports, an athlete is not complete without the good support. Because what I see of late is a parental pressure has become a lot of problem now. So a lot of parents are pressurizing their kids to perform. See, this is one thing I want to tell the parents. What I want to tell the parents. I know you all are very eager. You all are helping your kids. You want your kids to grow in terms and become a very successful sports person or an athlete. But first, see, please surrender your kids to the coaches. See, coaches are doing their duty. Like how? Because why I'm telling this is most of the parents try to be the coach themselves. I have seen athletes telling me that they're not able to perform because they're just constantly worried about their parents, and they're thinking like, if I fail today, how would I face my parents? And I would say 95% of athletes face this because the parental pressure is getting to the athlete, and where the performance is also decreasing. So there are a lot of aspects of sports. So let us understand each and every concern of an athlete in detail now. The fear and anxiety. This is the common concern which most of the athletes face just before their performance. See, first we need to understand, see, a little bit of anxiety is necessary for an athlete to perform. But if an athlete is unable to control his or her fear or anxiety, that is the negative thoughts, then it is going to hamper the performance. So life of a competitor is not easy. So to make this, we need to work on the athlete's mindset first. So sports psychologists, basically first we start working on the aspect of self. Every time a player or an athlete comes to me, I ask them one question. I ask them, please describe yourself. Describe yourself. Write about yourself. What do you want to do in life? Who are you? Because self-awareness is very essential for an athlete to perform at the highest level. Because every time the athletes have a really high goal. They have a goal. They say that, okay, I want to become an Olympian. I want to reach the international level standards. But they don't even know who he or she is. So it is very essential for us to work on the self-assessment first by understanding what kind of personality is the athlete. Because we see that the coach, for example, we cannot expect the coach to talk to an athlete and understand that athlete on a one-to-one basis. So what happened is we see in a lot of academies that most of the times coach has to be strict. Yes, my coach was strict and he has to be strict. But sometimes what happens when a coach shouts at an athlete, or when then a coach gets a little strict to an athlete, for one athlete he or she might get motivated, and he or she might perform better in the next tournament, thinking that the coach has told me, he shouted at me, so I have to perform well in the next tournament. So it might motivate for an athlete to do well. But when you have an athlete who is a little sensitive, who takes coaches what do you say coaches shoutings or coaches words very seriously, that athlete, he or she may fail to perform in the next tournament, that is the upcoming tournament, because that athlete would constantly think, if I don't perform, what will my coach say? Because we do have lot of athletes coming in with fear of coaches suddenly, which has arisen. Because see, I will not blame the coach here. I'll not blame the coach here. See, we need to understand that children. See, I was actually watching Aparna Popat's video like yesterday or day before or something. She said initially, like when she was performing at a very early stage, when children are of an age of 10, 11, 12, 13, there is no fear. There is no inhibition. They perform really well. The fear starts coming in when when an athlete grows older, where we need to understand that teenage is an age where we have to be more sensitive towards an athlete. Because I would like to share a case here of one of my swimmer. Okay, so that swimmer was India number one. Okay, India number one, and I think she was an individual champion. She held a lot of record when she was of age, I would say 13, 14 and 15. And 16 she had a failure. She could not perform, where another girl who was a little younger, who swam better and faster than her. This is where she got affected, and she could not believe that she was being beaten. This happens to players who were in success, who were very successful and performing really well, and suddenly when they see a failure, or when they think that when somebody else performs better, they start giving up the sport. And when this girl came to for a consultation, she said that I don't want to continue my sport, and I don't think I have it in me anymore. See, in sports psychology, fear of failure and making a comeback after a failure is very essential. So here we need to work on an athlete emotionally. See, because there are times and there were times with me where I could not share my feelings of like an athlete, where yes, after a loss, after where you were expecting a very good performance, and you tend to lose in some cases where you cannot perform really well, and that time it's a very hopeless feeling, where you feel angry, you feel agitated, you feel sad, you feel emotional, you feel like quitting the sport. This happens to almost all the athletes, but this time there is a point where an athlete cannot speak to the coach about this. The athlete cannot speak to the parents about this. So here the sports psychologist plays a very important role in understanding the athlete and understanding the athlete's concerns, and then working with them on a one-on-one basis, where teaching them coping up mechanism or skills for them to perform better and get back to the sport. See, the girl which I was talking about, she came to me and she said, I don't have it in me anymore. I said, what are you talking? You were India number one for 3 years, and just because another girl has swam faster than you or performed better than you, that doesn't mean that you have to quit the sport. See, most of the athletes come to me only when there is a concern. I keep stressing this because sports psychology in India is only considered when athletes have or going through a problem. So please see, if most of the coaches or parents are watching me today, so it is very important for you to understand that you need to understand that player, Okay, and if he or she underperforms, or if that person was not able to perform well in a particular tournament, please don't question or ask or start shouting, because I have seen parents hitting their kids on the court, on the field, in the pool, for not performing front of so many people. See, this is not how a parent how a parent should react. See, first, please don't discuss if there is a failure, and don't make the problem worse by just hitting them or scolding them or abusing them only just after the performance. You can go back and talk to them in a more mature way, and that will actually motivate the athletes to overcome that mistake in a better way. Because a lot of parents now, they tell one I think one common statement to their kids: if you don't perform well in this tournament, I will make sure that you leave the sport. See, this is a classic, I think, a dialogue which all of the parents would tell, because a lot of players, they take it very seriously, and it doesn't work positively. I must say, it is working against the player. So, parents, please be a biggest. See, parents are the biggest support system. So, please encourage your kids to perform better, and mentally make sure that when they have a failure, please support them and make sure that you don't make the problem worse by scolding or abusing them. See, the next one, what we do as sports psychologists is we help an athlete introspect his or her bad performance. See, we often see introspection actually works where we make the athlete write about why they failed, why they think that they failed in their previous performance, and we tell them and we make them realize that what went wrong, and the next time when they're ready to compete in their respective event, we make sure that the player is more mentally stable, and the player is able to understand their mistakes, and they don't repeat it again. So introspection is a very big aspect which sports psychologists focus on. The next most important technique which we focus is the visualization. See, it is very important for a high level athlete. We have a technique called visualization, where we make the player experience the competition setting. Because I have badminton players who have fear of the crowd. They are just constantly worried about they're just constantly worried about performing in front of a huge crowd. See, first, I tell the athletes, see, the problem is not with the crowd. Correct? So when they are looking at a very big dream of reaching the Olympics, or they're reaching at the higher level in their sport, they have to deal with it. Can you ask the crowd not to come and watch me? No, they can't do it. So first, we teach them, first they need to remove the mental blocks. So they need to learn to handle this situation, and fear of crowd needs to be eliminated first. So visualization is a tool where we make a player visualize that people are watching them, where we induce some kind of a fear in them, where they experience the competition settings just before the competition, where we see when we are doing a visualization, we see the heart rate going up, where they're experiencing their actual performances. And this helps when they go out to perform in their respective sports, they feel that they have already felt this kind of an experience, and they feel familiarized with the situation. So sports counseling or sports psychology is not only for problem athlete. Sports psychologists work with coaches, with players, and with parents. So it's a team effort where we all work together in enhancing the performance of the player. So the next topic, the next concern which we sports psychologists focus on is the self-belief, the concept of self. See, first, I tell my players that if you're not confident about yourself, if you don't know your strengths and weaknesses, you are not going to be successful in your sport. I ask them, they say, when they come to me with fear of performance, fear of performing or competition or tournament, I ask them one thing. See, do you like your sports or not? Do you see yourself being successful? They say yes. So I say, see, first, you have to build your self-confidence or self-concept so high that it has to empower the whole fear. Fear has to look very small in front of your self-concept. So that's when your self-concept or a self-esteem plays a really important role. As I told earlier, the winner, you can be successful in whatever you do only if you have the right self-belief, because positive psychology is a very important aspect, not only in sports, in all the other areas. So sports counseling or sports mental skills training or sports psychology not only helps an athlete in terms of sport, but it also helps an athlete in their personal life, in their academic life. So it is basically, we focus on the whole and soul holistic approach where we help the athlete to balance their life in a much better way. Because sports, like we all know, like I have told you, is 90% mental and 10% physical during the performance. The body is going to achieve only what your mind is going to say. If your mind is constantly telling negative thoughts or telling negative things to you on the day of your tournament or on the day of your performance, the body is going to react in that way. So mental fitness is I would say mental fitness is a very important aspect. That is, it is like an winning edge. So mental fitness, so I would say that coaches and parents, if you want to enhance your performance of your kids, please work on the mental aspect, because there is a lot of stigma associated towards the word mind or psychology. People are still not accepting the fact that how do I approach a sports psychologist? What do I say? See, because people are still in that situation where they're still apprehensive of thinking whether I need to approach a sports psychologist or not. So first, I would say a mind coach is really important. Only in India, it is this aspect, sports psychology, is not given that importance, but in other countries there is a mind coach or a sports psychologist with the team. So I'll share an incident which motivated me to take up sports psychology as a profession. So I was fortunate to participate in 2009 World Championship, which was held in Rome, Italy. There I had this opportunity to see Michael Phelps. I'm sure you all would have heard about Michael Phelps. So Michael Phelps is the god of swimming. He is the Olympic champion. And then as a psychologist or as a budding psychologist, I was very keen to understand, how does this guy go and create world records? So it is not easy. See, when we talk about sports, like we said, there are so many thoughts which is hitting you before your performances. So I was literally stalking him in Rome during his performances. So before his performance, I just sat there and I was just observing what was going on or how he preps up for his race. So that's when I saw that there was this manager standing next to him, and there was this physiotherapist or a conditioner, I don't know, working on his legs and arms and just relaxing that and flexing that. And there was this mind coach of his who was helping him visualize and to focus, calming down. There was this kind of a meditation which he was trying to do there. That's before his performance, where he is just closing his eyes and meditating and calming himself down before his race. And then when he heard the call for his event, he just wore his headphones and he walked to the event. See, why? See, here sports psychologists also work on something called as a flow. I'm sure all of you would have heard. The flow is the most important aspect in sports psychology. That is, flow. See, it's called as a flow state, where it is a very high state to achieve the peak performance in sports, where an athlete gets into the flow, where the athlete manages his distraction. He's not getting distracted because of the crowd or the other music or whatever it is, seeing the other competitors. So the flow will help an athlete manage his or her distraction, and the flow can be experienced. Don't forget that flow can be experienced only if it needs a lot of focus, guys. So I could see that the mind coach was working on his mind, calming him, telling few things, and he was just sitting there, closed eyes, and he just walked away. He went to the reporting area, he reported for his event, and he stood on the block, he jumped off, and he created a world record. See, a flow is a state where there's a lot of videos. You all can just go to YouTube and look at it. There was this Kobe Bryant who unfortunately died in the helicopter crash. He said that he experiences the flow, he practices flow, and he practices flow just before every match, where when he goes out during his basketball match, he says that when he is in the flow state, he just hears one sound, which is that is just noise. There is no screaming. Everything is just like one beep kind of a thing. And he says that when he is in that state, he is not bothered about his the other opponent. He is just taking the ball and throwing it in the basket. Wherever he is, he just focusing on the ball, getting the ball and just throwing out to the basket. See, when you are in a flow state, it is the athlete, it just is very purest form of the mental state, I would say, where the athlete just goes there, finishes the job and come back. So we also work on with athletes to experience this flow state. So the last aspect I would say comparing. So a lot of athletes fail because they always constantly compare themselves to their competitors. So they always, every time when an athlete comes to me, the athlete just says that, ma'am, I'm doing everything, but I cannot reach to this level of this boy. See, first, the more the athlete compares himself or herself to another person, the athlete, it is making the athlete very the confidence of an athlete is coming down. So comparing a big no, because I see a lot of parents showing the videos of the players or an athlete's opponents and forcing them or trying to tell them to become as good as their opponent. See, this doesn't work. Comparing is a very I would say this is a destroyer in an athlete's life, because when he compares, like I told you, the situation of player A and B, so when he starts comparing himself or herself to another player, they start losing it and they start losing the self confidence levels. And the last one which I want to speak about is the performance anxiety. So a lot of people experience performance anxiety, a lot of anxiety before their matches or before their performance. So I would say that nowadays there is a lot of social media, or I would say the media, where just before the matches, people get to know their seed, or who they're playing with, or which lane in terms of swimming, and they get all the details about the match. So what happens when they see all these details, or their opponents, or if they're particularly when we take about when you take a badminton player, so say that player A has a fear of player C, and suddenly when the player is going through the seeding list and the list of players, and the player comes to know that tomorrow he or she is playing with player C. See, what happens is that is where they start thinking it negatively, and mentally they start giving up to this player. So first, it is very essential for us to focus only on the self-belief, the aspect of self-belief which I told you, and please avoid social media or the media input before your matches, because subconsciously that is going to get registered, and then the performance anxiety is going to get even more higher, because just before the competition or tournament, the athlete needs to be totally focused only on himself or herself. The athlete only needs to believe in himself or herself, rather than looking and deciding and mentally giving up to another competitor. So I have now, we'll just take a little a small question which Mr. Sandeep has posted. A guide how to how to keep ourselves motivated and positive on a daily basis. Thank you for this question, Mr. Sandeep. See, it is very essential. See, what is motivation? Okay, motivation starts only if you're positive. Okay, so first focus on being positive, being happy. So if you're happy about a situation, so you will get motivated. See, motivation doesn't come. You need to feel happy in the job what you're doing, whatever it is, and then your motivation will obviously go high. So positivity is a key to keeping yourself motivated. Please have positive affirmations and trust yourself whatever you are doing. See, the more you trust yourself, the better self-image you have. So I can't show you an image here, because we have this lovely image in our positive psychology, that is a cat, a small cat looking at a mirror and seeing himself as a lion. See, first, it is very important to feel good about yourself and feel confident about yourself, and the image of what you have is going to make you successful. The second one, I have another question from Abhinav. It says, is it normal for an athlete to vent out after a loss? Does it help? Yes, they would obviously vent out. It depends on what age, because the younger athletes usually share what happened to them. They usually share and they talk it out to their parents. But the older kids, of late, we see that they vent out their emotions in a very negative way, and they start crying. Some of the athletes we see, when they fail, they immediately start crying. So it's okay for them to vent out. Let them pour out their emotions, and just try to motivate them, saying that loss and gain is a part and parcel of sports. So when they are in sports, it's very essential for them to deal with a loss. And I think athletes are going to get stronger only. The loss or the failure makes them more stronger in terms of an athlete. So yeah, any more questions? You can type it out there. So I would say that sports school is actually a very good place for all the athletes to be, where we not only focus on the athletes' physical health, but we also promote and focus on the mental health, where we build champions who are mentally fit and physically fit, and we aim at delivering or making a champion more fit mentally and a player to handle himself or herself in a better way. What type of meditation would help the athletes? See, one thing, there is no type of meditation. You can basically just introduce 10 minutes of meditation in your players or in your kids' life, where they're just sitting for 10 minutes, where they're just chanting something, or they're just focusing on themselves. See, meditation is always calming your mind. So there is no type of meditation. Basically, you can have a candle in front of your child, where the child sees that candle and just focuses and streamline the thoughts in one area. So meditation improves focus. So start incorporating meditation in the child's life. Yeah. How to behave as parents after a match. Okay, after a match, see, it depends on what is the result like. So obviously, when you have a successful match, so you would be really happy. But after a bad match or a bad failure or something like that, you can ask your child, don't react in that situation. It is always better to keep calm and just let them vent out, or if they themselves are coming to share a certain things about what happened and all that, please hear out, and then you can ask them to introspect what they think went wrong. Introspection is very effective when to handle failures. Okay, is it okay to be aggressive while playing? Is it good? Okay, see, first, sport aggression, yes, it is good, it is very essential, but we need to assess the player before even we talk about sport aggression, because we have seen a lot of players who have lost their temperament in terms of aggression, where they have screamed out and they have got a tag of a bad behavior. So aggression in terms of sport, first, the belief factor which I was talking about, they should start believing in themselves, and then the sport aggression, not verbal, but the actions should speak more than words. Is swimming safe during COVID situation? Is there a fear of disease? No, I would see a lot of swimming academies, I think, in US have started to operate, because with a more protection in the water, because chlorine is there and then it kills germs and all that. But in India, swimming is not started yet, but yeah, they would be following a lot of guidelines, and I think it would be safe to start off the swimming. Yeah. Any more questions? You can ask me here. Please give me a feedback if you like the session. In the sports school, we are working with all the athletes, all the sportsmen, where we are providing one-on-one counseling. We are having group counseling for them, and we are also having career counseling for them, where career guidance, which is the most aspect, where so we are focusing on both academics and professional sports. Does music help an athlete to go into his zone? Yes, specific music. I would say I always tell my players to have one motivational music for themselves where they hear that and go to their performance. Yes, music does help. So one song or one particular type of music usually pumps an athlete high, and they can get into the zone. How can a player calm himself if he is losing a match? See, first, losing a match, I have seen a lot of players when we talk about tennis and badminton, uh, uh, they start losing it if they lose 1 point. I have seen players, if they lose 1 point, even though if they're at the lead, they give up the match very easily. So first, this is for this problem, we always work with a goal setting is a very good technique, where goal setting, we help an athlete to focus on the process goal. Process goal, see, there is a difference between a process goal and a goal which an athlete has. So, for example, if I'm talking about a swimmer who has a target of 30 seconds in the 50 meters. So, when a swimmer has a target of 30 seconds, so what happens? The swimmer is just looking at the outcome goal. The swimmer is standing on the block and just thinking that, oh, I have to hit this 30, I have to hit this 30. And what happens? The pressure starts building him. He or she might not control his technique and all that, and they start increasing their frequency. So it is very essential to work on the process goal. See, a process goal, usually we break that 30 seconds or the 50-meter race into parts where we focus, we help the swimmer to focus on the positive statements first, and then we focus on the reaction type, that is how fast they fall into the water, and then we focus on how the dive should be, and then we focus on the underwater. So the 50-meter race is broken into a small process where the athlete will be much calmer, where they will be more focused when they have a process goal. How should a player take failures and win? This is what we tell the players. When I take sessions with my players, I always say, winning is good, but don't take that into your head. When you have a failure, try to make yourself so strong and try to introspect your mistakes and try to overcome your mistakes to get into a more better player. We can't say that a player can only win, because I see a lot of athletes giving up their sport now because when they fail. So it is very important for us to start mental skills training at a very early age. Should one define short-term goals for a young athlete before defining long-term goals? First, I usually talk to my athletes and ask them about their dream. What is their dream? Why are they into sports? And just let them see. It's very important for an athlete to dream big, to have a very big dream. Then we start focusing on a short-term goal, which in that the short-term goal is divided into workout goal. I see a lot of athletes who only focus on achieving a goal, but they don't focus on their training, because they neglect that 300 days of training or 360 days of training, and they expect that 5 days of the tournament to go really well. It is very important for athletes to start working on their workout goal, that is the training goal. So today if I'm going to train, if I have a particular set today, so my training goal also should be very clear to me. So say around I have, if we talk about badminton, if they have if there is a training goal saying that, okay, I have to focus on my movements, I have to be very quick during my with my movements today in my training. So the goal the only goal today for an athlete would be only focusing on his or her movement. So then after the training, the athlete needs to write about how much of their training goal have they achieved. Say around, if they have achieved 80%, they think that okay, 80% I have achieved out of 100, and they have to distinguish between why they have not achieved the rest of the 20. So see, it is very essential for the player to understand, only if you are very consistent during your training, your performances are also going to be consistent. If you don't focus on your training, then your performance is not going to be consistent. I think I have answered most of the questions. So if you have any question, you can just mail us to the sports school email ID, so that I will answer it. And yes, please do not neglect the mental aspect of the athlete. It is very important. It is really important, because a player can only achieve their goals or dreams only if they are mentally fit. Because as the player goes higher and higher in terms of success, it is very important for the player to handle, because the pressure also is going to go high, the stress levels are going high, and the what do you say, the everything, every aspect is going to go, and the negativity also will go high. So if we start teaching them to control their emotions and manage their emotions in a better way at a very early stage, they will start evolving in becoming a better player. So thank you all so much. Thank you for asking so many questions. Thank you all. I hope I could I could deliver what I was planning to. So yes, please visit the sports school. It is the best sporting facility for all the sports enthusiasts, with a really good support system, and meet you all at the sports school. Thank you so much. Have a great day.